Eastern Seaboard.
We're not gonna make it!
Executive Decision, Thursday at 8 on Great Movies. Want a final wrap-up of the news that made today different than any other? I like that line. Watch CityPulse tonight next. From Pearson International, this is CityTV everywhere. Tonight, high marks honors.
Tonight, Jose Mackerel.
Tonight, a cowboy junkies fix.
Good evening. Tonight, no one will budge. Teachers, school boards, deadlocked. Kids still on the outside.
There will be a demonstration in front of this board office to show the board that the teachers, elementary teachers here in Peel, mean business. They don't like what they have done to their collective agreement, and they don't like what they intend to do to their working conditions, and they're not going to take it. The strike vote here in Peel will be taken next week. And next week is the first time that this board wants to get back at the table as well. So it's not a good indication of any sincere effort by this board to resolve the problem, which is what the teachers want to do.
That's the view tonight from Peel, where teachers rallied outside the public board. More than 133,000 kids across the GTA have been out of school since September 8th. With new rumblings about back-to-work legislation and who would oppose it, tonight York Region parents are talking about taking matters into their own hands.
What can we do with the kids in the classroom, working together and cooperatively to get this resolved? That's my aim, and that's why I'm here tonight, to see whether or not we can, together, parents, teachers, ministry. Ministry says that everybody's pointing fingers. I'm saying let's join hands, let's get this thing resolved, and let my kids go back to school tomorrow.
More than 100 concerned parents met tonight trying to figure out what to do with the kids. There's talk about following the lead of St. Michael's Academy in Thornhill, where parents have been teaching classes. From Queen's Park, politicians are jostling for a stance on back-to-work legislation.
If at some point in time the Education Relations Commission makes a finding that the student's year is going to be in jeopardy if they don't get back in the classroom, then I will support back-to-work legislation at that point in time. But until that happens, I think it's important for the parties involved, teachers and trustees, to work as hard as they can to get a settlement.
While the Liberals will conditionally support back-to-work legislation, tonight the NDP says they'll do everything they can to stop it. As for the Tories, the Premier still says forcing teachers back to school is a last resort. So, had enough talk? Should the Harris government act immediately to end this thing?
I think that the teachers have a valid point, and I think that for the most part, if there's no intervention as yet, there's not going to be. So there's something going on deeper than we know. And as far as I'm concerned, there are a lot of children that are going to suffer because of it.
Kids need to learn. There's a lot of kids out there that are preparing for university and college, and they need to get their education going.
The kids have to go back to school. I mean, people who are in OAC and have things to do later are kind of being hurt right now, so I think they should.
Since there's been no real movement between teachers and the boards, the same kids that were out of school today are out tomorrow. On the brighter side, things are looking up for one young scholar in the city. Monita Rajpal will have that story a little later on. A few folks on the lam from the law tonight. First, 39-year-old Earl Gordon McCauley skipped out on a day pass from a Kingston prison with a 16-year-old girl working as a church volunteer with inmates. Cops think they're in Toronto and not likely collecting for the Sally Ann.
He's a violent bank robber that was serving some 30 years plus. I think the sentence speaks for itself. Amanda Weatherby was in the Kingston area working for a church agency on a voluntary basis, and through that came in contact with McCauley, who was on an unescorted pass.
The repeat offender unit ran into another wanted face tonight. Kenneth William Chester's West End visit came to an abrupt end. He was supposed to be at the Beaver Creek minimum lockup in Bracebridge. Charges laid tonight in last weekend's fatal police chase in Etobicoke. 36-year-old Derek Thomas, who was injured in the crash, was charged with criminal negligence causing death and robbery in hospital where he's recovering. 36-year-old Paul Cabral was killed instantly when his van exploded in flames after being hit by a stolen car that ran a red light. A spokesperson with the Special Investigations Unit says investigators have yet to speak with the officer.